This is positive x-axis and this is negative x-axis. Both axes extend up to infinity in opposite directions, but we will try to understand the limited part of it. 0 is always at the center. This entire setup is called x-axis only. All positive numbers are on the right side of 0 and all negative numbers are on the left side of 0. Here is one thing to remember. As we move towards right side of 0, the numbers become greater and greater. That means 5 is greater than 1. In the same way, as we move left side from 0, the numbers become smaller and smaller. That means minus 1 is greater than minus 5. Let's learn more about this line. We are not limited to just one axis. We have another axis called the y-axis, and it also contains positive and negative numbers. We also have another axis which is called g-axis, which also has positive and negative numbers. Now we have created a 3-dimensional number line which is also called 3D space. You might be wondering why we are studying these axes. This setup is called the number line. All types of numbers exist on this number line. It helps us to understand numbers and how they work for our calculations. With its help, we can measure the length of any object. As you can see, the length of this bottle is between 4 and 5. We can understand quadratic equations by graph on this line. We can find direction of force applied on any object. As you can see, this by applying a force on the box in positive x direction. One more important thing to notice is that these axes can also be considered as east, west, north, south, up and down directions. Look at this cube. It is not on any specific axis, but it is in a space. To find the location of this box, we use the 3D axis. It moves some distance along the x-axis, some along the y-axis, and some along the g-axis. This way we can locate its exact position. Maps work using the same 3D system. Using this, we can locate any place on Earth. We will learn more about these lines in the upcoming chapters. So far we have learned the use of this 3D line. Now let's take x-axis only so we can learn more. Numbers on this line extend up to infinity in both directions. We can place as many numbers on this line as we want because this line has no end. The group of numbers from 1 to infinity is called natural numbers. If we include 0 in the group of natural numbers, we get whole numbers. The group of positive and negative numbers is called integers. Let's take the number 1 and 2 on this line and see what we get. As you can see, there are many numbers between 1 and 2. And as we keep zooming in, we find even more numbers. This process will go on forever. This leads us to the conclusion that there are infinitely many numbers between any two numbers. This is a very useful information. We will use it later. Natural numbers start from 1 and go up to infinity, and symbol is capital N. Whole numbers start from 0 and go up to infinity, and symbol is capital W. The group of positive and negative numbers is called integers. The symbol is capital Z. Part of integers are called fractions. They represent a small part of whole number. And the symbol is slash. We will learn more about rational and irrational numbers later in this chapter. Rational numbers symbol is capital Q and irrational numbers symbol is capital I. Imaginary and complex numbers will be studied in class 11th and 12th. Now we will learn how any number can be converted into a fraction and any fraction can be converted into a decimal. For example, 5 can be written as 5.0 or 5.00. We know 1 can be written in the denominator for any number. If we remove the decimal in 5.0, we write 10 in the denominator because there is one digit after the decimal. So 5.0 becomes 50 by 10. Similarly, 5.00 becomes 500 by 100. Dividing 500 by 100 again gives 5. Hence, any number can be written as a fraction and any fraction can be written as a decimal. Another example, 2.5 can be written as 25 by 10. If we divide numerator and denominator by 5, we get 5 by 2. Now we have some negative, positive and decimal numbers. We can write 1 under each of them and they will be converted into fractions. Now let's understand rational numbers. A number is called rational if it can be written in the form p by q, where p and q are integers and q is not equal to 0. This means any number that can be written as a fraction is a rational number. All the numbers shown here are rational because they are in p by q form. Here p is 56 and q is 10 and both are integers. Let's understand why q cannot be 0. That means why denominator can never be 0. And if we do so, what happens? Let's understand division before understanding this thing. Division is a process of subtraction. That means we subtract numbers from the dividend. Let's see how. If 6 is divided by 6, it means subtract 6 once from 6. If 6 is divided by 3, subtract 3 twice from 6 so that 6 becomes 0. That is, remainder becomes 0. If 6 is divided by 2, subtract 2 3 times and we get remainder 0 and quotient 3. If 6 is divided by 1, subtract 1 6 times. Now see what happens when we divide 6 by 0. We can take any number instead of 6. Result will be same, but now we will take 6. We can subtract 0 as many times as we want, but 6 will never become 0. This creates an infinity loop. That means 0 can be subtracted till our death, but we will never get any answer. We have 4 rational numbers. We can convert 3 by 8 into a decimal by long division process. We can change 13 by 125 into decimals using long division. 1 by 3 becomes 0.3 repeating and it will go on. 1 by 7 can be changed into decimals by long division process. You may notice decimal form of 1 by 7 repeats itself after few digits, but it will never end. Here 1 4 2 8 5 7 is repeating. Here 3 by 8 and 13 by 125 are terminating numbers. That means their decimal expansion end after few digits. 1 by 3 and 1 by 7 are non-terminating repeating numbers. Can we find the location of these numbers on number line? Let's find the location of 3 by 8. Its location on number line lies between 0 and 1. We will find 0.3 first. There are infinite numbers between 0 and 1, but we will divide it into 10 parts. This is the location of 0.3. 0.375 is between 0.3 and 0.4. Again we divide it into 10 parts. And here we get 0.375. This is the location of 0.375 on number line. This is a very small number. If we take a scale and one unit is this black stick, here 0.375 can't be written on the scale. Now let's see location of 1 by 3. That is 0.3 repeating. As you can see, 0.3 repeating has no fixed location because it is a non-terminating number. We will spend our whole life to find its location, but we will never get any exact point. Let's see how a stick of length 0.33333 would look. Let's assume this black stick has that length. If the stick was 0.3 unit, it would look something like this. But it is more than that length, so it will increase little bit. As we keep adding more threes after the decimal, the stick becomes slightly longer each time, and here we get 0.33333. Let's get back to our topic. 3 by 8 and 13 by 125 are terminating numbers. 1 by 3 and 1 by 7 are non-terminating recurring numbers. And now you know how they fit on number line. 0.375 can be changed into a fraction again. 0.104 can also be changed. But what about 1 by 3 and 1 by 7? Can we change their decimal expansion into a fraction? Let's learn what is 1 by 3 first. This is a box. We can divide it into 3 parts and each part will be 1 by 3. By joining the box together we get 1. Now you know what 1 by 3 is. Adding 1 by 3 3 times gives 1. But can we add 0.3 repeating 3 times to get 1? And we know it will be 1. This question is up to you. You already know how to add numbers. Let's give it a try. Many of you would not be able to solve it. If you have read class 9 very well, you will solve it because this question belongs to first chapter. But if you can't, let's see how to solve it. We will take the help of algebra because simple addition technique will not help to solve it. Let's assume x is equal to 0.3 repeating. We can multiply both sides by 10. We get 3.3 repeating as we multiply 0.3 repeating by 10. We can rewrite 3.3 repeating as 3 plus 0.3 repeating. The value of x is also given here. So we can change this number by x. Here we have plus x. By shifting it on other side we get minus x. And we get 9x. Here 9 is in the multiplication form. By shifting on other side, it takes division form. And we get 3 by 9, which is 1 by 3. And hence we can change 0.3 repeating into a fraction. And by adding this number 3 times, we get 1. We cannot write repeating numbers each time. So we create a line on the repeating number. That shows this part is repeating itself. So far we have learned two types of numbers. First, terminating numbers and second, non-terminating recurring numbers. Both are rational numbers because they can be written as fractions. Now the question arises, are there numbers that neither stop nor repeat? Let's find it. Take a look at these numbers. Symbol above 2 is called a square root and this is the value of a square root 2. Its value keep increasing without any pattern and never ends. All the copies available in the world can be filled by this increasing number, but it cannot be fully written. Now the question arises, where did a square root 2 come from and who discovered these numbers? Since childhood, we are using numbers to count, weight or measure objects. Mathematicians of old era found some difficulties during calculations and then Pythagoras discovered a theory that is known as Pythagoras theorem. And by using this theory, square roots were found out. Let's see how. This is a house and here is a stair on its wall. Distance between wall and stair is 5 units and the length of a stair is 13 units. By measuring the wall by a scale, we get 12 units. We can find the length of wall using Pythagoras theorem. Let's see another example. This time we will find the length of a stair. Using Pythagoras theorem, its length is 10 units. And here by scale it is 10 units. This world is full of materials and each object has a length. For example, this cube is 4 cm and the length of table is little bit greater than 6. We also have a cube and we take its one face and we draw a diagonal. So it creates two triangles. Each side of this cube is 1 unit. Therefore, its diagonal will be √2 unit according to Pythagoras theorem. Let's see how long a square √2 is. This is a right angled triangle whose both sides are 1 unit. You can see diagonal is greater than 1 unit, which is 1.4 unit approximately. Here is still some length to be measured. Here we can take 1 unit between 4 and 5 and we get 1.414 unit. Still we have some distance to be measured. Again we divide distance between these 2 points in 10 parts and also we go 4 units further and we get 1.414 units. Here is still some distance is remaining to be measured. The red stick is showing that distance. So can we measure the diagonal completely? The answer is no. We can proceed further and can measure more length, but each time some distance will be remaining to be measured. But we can consider diagonal as 1.414 unit approximately. By using Pythagoras theorem, we get its length √2 units. We can take the square of 1.414 and get 1.999396, which is approximately 2, but not exact 2. And we get diagonal as √2 units, which is non-terminating, non-repeating number. That's the reason we can never measure the length of diagonal completely. Hence, √2 is an irrational number. The history of square roots is interesting. This is Pythagoras and Pythagoras theorem was named after him. Pythagoras had a student named Hippasus. Using the Pythagorean theorem, he discovered that √2 is irrational and cannot be written as a fraction. We cannot find its value completely. He told that thing to his classmates, but his classmates refused to accept it. At that time, people believed everything could be measured exactly. Either it is a whole earth or a small needle. After getting refusal by his friends, he told that thing to the world. But his companions felt bad about it. They blamed his spreading misinformation and cheating their community. As a punishment, he was thrown in the sea where he died. Later it was proven that he was correct. So far we have learned about positive numbers, negative numbers, decimals and fractions. All these are rational numbers because they can be written as P by Q. We also learned about irrational numbers which cannot be written in P by Q form. We will use irrational numbers throughout these chapters and what we learn today will help us to understand these chapters.